Okay, welcome back to my next part in my homemade to handmade video series. So what we're doing here now is we're going to veneer the front and the back of this headstock with this black oak veneer. So it's a relatively simple process. I just cut out the veneer slightly oversized, clamp it on using a caul, and if we do it all properly, it should come out nice, flush and clean looking. So step one is tracing out roughly how much of the black oak we need. So for this, I'm going to use a pink pencil because black pencil doesn't really turn up very well on these. I'm going to position it, move that a bit there. So I want the grain running with the neck here, so roughly there. And if I can, there we go. Get in underneath, and I'm just going to draw roughly the outline of the headstock. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I just don't want it wildly off. So, can we see it there? We can just about see it in the video. I can see it fairly clearly here. So to cut out the veneer, I found the easiest way is just plain old kitchen scissors. And then cutting to the outside of the line. And this is what we have. You can see the pink line a bit easier there. I also have a yellow line that I use sometimes. Yeah, that one comes up way better. We'll use that in the future. So, just to make 100% sure that this fits. It does, and there is plenty of room. Yeah, you can see it in the video, there's plenty of room. I'm also going up this slope, but I'm not going on top of here, but I am covering the end grain of the rosewood there. Now one, I suppose, obvious problem here is the fact that I'll be covering these holes and this hole here. There's a reasonably easy way of figuring out where those holes are. So once these are down, you can pretty much get something like the back of this pencil, and you just push around, and I can feel there that's the hole. So what I will do then is I'll get a scalpel blade and I'll just gently find the hole, I suppose, once the veneer is down, and then use a chisel to just very carefully carve out the correct hole. Let me just reposition this very slightly. Bit better there. So same process for the back. Put the front piece over here for the time being. And there is that is the good side, and on the back it's actually, I think it's called paper backed, but it's this fiber back on it really, which the glue actually melts it and it just becomes a big gooey mess, which is perfectly fine. Same thing again. Yellow pencil. So once again, you can see the yellow line. Perfect. for the gluing process, I have some special dowel or special calls. So this is going onto the top. So obviously here that's curved, and I've made this at a curve which matches that curve there. I did miss that little corner there, but that should be okay. And this guy sits on over it, covers everything except that one corner. Can't get it all. And the back one is just a big dirty block. That's fine. So, whoops. I'm also going to just a bit of wax. God, that looks absolutely dirty, stink, but just a bit of wax onto these. And that will prevent the glue from sticking to the cauls. This is just an old candle. That's all it is, and it's pretty filthy at the moment, but generally that doesn't make too much of a difference. I use this for whenever I'm putting in screws. Handy little thing to have. So the only thing to do now is just pop on the glue and go for it. So using Tight Bond Original. There's a bit of a flutter there on the screen. That is because I have fluorescent lights, which I need to do something about. Little bit of a, I think this is a divider from, I don't even know what it's from. It's a drawer divider, but works as a very, very nice glue spreader. Any extra, just put it on the back. I don't know if you can hear the rain there, but we got our 2 weeks of summer here in Ireland, and now the rain's back. August is always a fun time of year here because you'll have rain for 20 minutes and then it'll be sunny, and then the rain will come back 20 minutes later. And it just kind of cycles like that, back and forth, for months really. So I'm just putting the veneer on at the moment and hoping the glue will hold it for the most part until I get the back veneer on as well, and then I'll clamp all of it together. So after this we're going to do some staining as well, which should be a bit more fun than watching me spread glue. We can hope anyway. I guess we're clamping from this side. These are really, really cheap clamps, but they're actually quite handy. Because they're so small, they're just really handy to go on and off really, really quick. And for jobs like this, you don't need a massive amount of clamping pressure. another small piece just for there. Don't know if you can see that, but this clamp is pretty much exploding. Oh, it's not gonna work. I just needed to hold it in place. That should actually do the finest. So I'll leave this sit now. As long as I can, really, I should be able to take the clamps off in about an hour's time. So while we wait for that to dry, we're going to do some staining. They are powdered, powdered stains. Thought there was a difference between stain and dyes. So I found the best way to use these is with warm water. So this is, I boiled up the kettle and I filled this half with boiled water, the other half with cold water from the tap. And that is way too much. I only want a very, that's even still too much. I only want a tiny amount here because I don't want to waste any of the dye. Don't want to get it wet either. Now, really quick, I have this reference beam that I made. I'm calling it a beam, which is just some ash. I did it on a bit of a live edge offcut. I quite like it. So the color I'm going for here is emerald. This is my own guitar and it's staying my own guitar, and I really like green. So I wrote on the bottom all of my different combinations for all these. So you can see 2 parts blue to 1 part yellow to a half part black, and that is to mainly to get the blackness in the grain and just to darken the whole thing altogether. So that's what we're aiming for. Says your yellow looks very, very orange, but it is yellow, black and blue. And I have this, which I can't remember what it was called. I think it was something to do with cuticles. I got it on Amazon. It was very, very cheap, and it is dead handy. So we'll start with the blue. You'll notice as well I'm wearing latex gloves because this stuff will stain you, and you'll stay stained for days. It's ridiculous, really. So we're kind of estimating quantities, and then we'll get pretty close, test it, and kind of keep going back. And there's the wind. So just dropping that in. It's very satisfying mixing these up, especially with this shallow amount of water in it. It looks interesting. Next, the yellow. So I want half as much yellow as I had of the blue. Again, I'm kind of getting it roughly. It's about half as much. And mix it in. And half again of the black. If anyone is looking for these dyes, keytodyes.com I think it is. This is just he has it down as a starter pack. I'm saying he, I assume it's a he. It was a he I was talking to. And it's a very good pack. Comes with black, brown, red, blue and yellow. So you can make pretty much any colour combination you want or need with that. And it's quite cheap. I think it was about $16 thereabouts. And yeah, very good. This is going to last me probably quite a while, just judging by how much I'm using and how much is there. So kind of, unless you're using it quite a bit, it's probably going to last you for ages. So this is just a paper towel that I have folded over. You want nice square edges in this. Just dab it in, and it's just an offcut of ash. It's similar to the guitar that we're going to be dyeing, so let's see. So that's a bit light for my liking. We're going to put a bit of everything in again, just a little bit extra. A little bit of blue, a little bit of black, and a tiny bit of yellow. There's just not quite enough, too much water in fact, not quite enough dye. So I have found this is a bit of trial and error. I'm not sure what the shelf life is like to mix up a big batch of it, but as long as you test stain everything, you're going to get pretty close. And I think that's all part of a handmade instrument anyway. Alright. Same paper towel, and it's a subtle difference, but it is a difference. Now the towel does disintegrate a little bit, but it's okay. It's it comes out very easily. I'm going to put a bit more black and a bit more blue into this. Also made a lovely cup of tea. There we go. Now this is fresh off the table saw, so this isn't sanded or anything. So that is exactly what I want. You can see how it really brings out the grain. And I will be finishing this then with tru-oil over the top. So, get rid of that. Clean up in between. The last thing I want to do is knock these packets of dye. The whole workshop will just be a rainbow. Water over here. Now you can see I really don't have a huge amount of dye mixed up here. That should be perfectly enough for the whole guitar. Make sure the hands are reasonably clean as I move this. You know what, there's a bit of spilt water there, so I'm just going to clean that up. There was a little bit of dye powder that I dropped. You can see you get a lot out of it. Okay. Alright, so what we're going to do here, I'm just going to use this chisel just to work around the outline of the headstock. Very careful, make sure not to split it along the grain. Okay, that is everything greened. Okay, so before we move on to applying the tru-oil to everything, we obviously need to find our tuner holes again and our truss rod adjustment holes. Hole, singular. So the best way I've found to do this is find the hole by pushing down. So I know there's a hole just here, and you put in the X-Acto blade, and I just cut along the veneer until I hit the wall there, and that's the edge of the tuner post, of the tuner hole. And the same the other side, and go in this way. There's the other one. So there I've made a T because it's too close to the edge, and then use the X-Acto blade just to kind of excavate around that and get roughly most of the hole back out. And that is most of it. Now, just for the sake of showing this, I'm just going to go to the other side here. In fact, once I have one side done, instead of feeling around to find it, I can just poke straight through. And there is my mark right here. This side actually has a bit of glue build up that fell into the tuner hole, so it's a little more difficult. Still fine. I have a pretty much brand new number 11 blade on this X-Acto knife at the moment. The new blade is quite important because it needs to be sharp to do this. If you're using a blunt blade, you're going to just run into problems. Now, and then I have a tapered reamer here. This goes up to 12 mil, I believe, at the end, or ½ inch. Don't need to go the whole way through, so just pop it in. And this will round out the hole nicely for us. This one actually has a little handle with it, which I am going to use. Other side. Perfect. So rinse and repeat for the other 5. Perfect. Now, next to move on to the truss rod adjustment. This is going to be a fun one because obviously I can't just ream it out square, so I kind of have to get it looking nice from here. So I'm going to do the same thing again. Right there, cut in and just kind of excavate it best I can here with the X-Acto. I want to be very careful here just not to make it lopsided, because this is a regular shape which is quite difficult to carve. Okay, so here's the fun step. We are going to be using Birchwood KC tru-oil, gunstock finish. I've used it a load of times before. Really like the stuff. Simple to apply with just one of these. This is just a little bit of cloth. That's all it is. I think that was a pair of pajamas or a t-shirt or something. Nice and clean. It's a good idea just to give this a bit of a wipe down beforehand, just to be sure, which I have done already. So, the only thing I don't like about this tru-oil, sometimes the cap is a bit awkward to get off. It's a really silly complaint, but there you go. Again, I fold this up same as the other, and I just find it that's the easiest to apply it with. And simply knock it over. You don't need a huge amount. And start rubbing it on. Watch the guitar come alive. Alright, we're going to call it there for this video. So that's just the first. I put 2 coats of the tru-oil onto this now at the moment. I'm going to continue for the next week or so, get at least 10 coats, if not 15 coats, onto the whole guitar, front and back, and the sides, the whole shebang. And then after that, once it has fully cured, so in about 2 weeks time or so, I'll do the reassembly of everything. I have a decal to put on there, which I'm going to actually cut out on the CNC, so I'll probably release a video in the meantime between now and the finishing video of cutting the decal, it's a logo. I'm also going to get some wooden pickup rings for this, and I might make some knobs as well. So we've all that to look forward to, and yeah, that's it. So as I said, that should be next week. I'll be making the next parts, and the week after that, hopefully putting it all back together. So drop a like, drop a comment, anything you want, and thanks very much. See you again soon.